Yo, what's up, guys? The Insane Game Freak here. I know a lot of you were asking this in the comment section. Say, hey, you haven't done any Pokemon videos in a while. Why is that?
Yeah, what the hell, man?
Yeah, I know. It's a beautiful thing. As some of you might have known, I haven't been super into the anime as of late, and the games hadn't really provided with any information, so there was not much I could really talk about. So it was like, well, I think we got some trailers and we got some new footage and some new forms. I think there's at least enough for us to start doing some real speculation on. And of course, I had to bring my protege, who has decided to be a better man and walk away from the anime reviewing, at least for Pokemon as of right now. Tyronethegod3, how are you doing, sir?
Hello, everybody. Tyronethegod3 here, and yes, I am here to talk about the game that still hasn't given us much information for us to speculate, but we're going to speculate anyway, because that's what fans do.
So here's my question. Is the reason why we haven't gotten any information because they pretty much learned their lesson with Sun and Moon? Because Sun and Moon, they essentially spoiled the entire game.
Yes, and like that's just been the thing with Pokemon in general, though, is like they have this bad habit of spoiling literally everything, and then by the time we get the game, it's like, oh, I know everything that's gonna happen now because they already scanned Koro scanned it all to death.
Well, that and also the fact that because the games don't release universally, what ended up happening is that like they would Japan would get the game first, and like they would spoil everything in the game. So by the time we got it in the U.S., it was like, well, you already taken half of the magic out of it.
Right.
But I figured I wanted to start with some of the basic thoughts because we did get a trailer. Well, technically we've only gotten two. The first one was just announcing the game. The second one actually had new material in it, and we also got to see a new map of the Alola region. So, but we're gonna start. We're gonna make this simple. We're gonna start.
And we got a busted Z move.
So, listen, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. I was gonna ask first question. How do you think? What do you think about the new looks for the trainers in this game?
They're sort of basic. I mean, they look comfy.
Also,
it's just that's it.
I'll say this is the best looking guy character we've had in a while.
Yeah, he's definitely the most unique looking guy character we've had in a while.
Yes. Oh my God. It's like it's like this to me. This kicks the shit out of Sun and Moon's protagonist. It's almost the same thing that happened with Black White 2, where like Black and White 1's male character looked okay, but he looked pretty standard for like a Pokemon main character, and then Black and White 2 gave him that like half of a hat and that crazy hairstyle that made him stick out a lot more.
Yeah.
Whereas like with Sun and Moon is almost the same thing. Like Sun and Moon, he looked like a basic bro, and then like Ultra Sun and Moon, he looks like, I guess, more unique. Like it feels more like the female. I've always thought the female designs have been pretty consistent. They've only been lacking in maybe the last. Sun and Moon's was okay. X and Y's was pretty weak, and I liked all the designs before that, except I don't like Dawn's design, but that's a trauma, so we don't bring that up.
I like the female's hat in this one. I like the hat.
Let me guess, is it because you didn't like the chicken hat?
I wasn't a giant fan of the chicken hat, no, but this just looks like a better hat. Like I can take this hat more seriously than the chicken hat.
Well, yeah, because it's pretty much just like a normal sun hat with like a flower on it.
Yeah. And you're right about the male trainer. He looks like what happened if they took the male trainer for Pokemon Sun and Moon and was like, hey, we need to make you look not like every other trainer that existed in Pokemon.
Yeah, you need to stop looking like a basic bro.
You need like, well, you can still wear blue, but you can't like wear the same shit.
You're gonna have to make a sacrifice somewhere, buddy.
You're gonna have to wear some capri shorts.
I fucking hated those goddamn shorts.
It looks like he's just wearing swimming trunks right now.
Well, I think that's what he is wearing. I think he's wearing swim trunks.
Yeah, he's just wearing swim trunks. The Alola region's very laid back.
Well, that's part of the reason why I like Ultra Sun and Moon's looks over the fucking original Sun and Moon's looks because I felt like the outfits were way too like I'm trying to be a Pokemon trainer, therefore I need to make myself look as much as a Pokemon trainer as possible. So I
Yeah, it's
appreciate the variety.
like, yeah, they're on an island, so they don't need to pack as heavy as they should. So yeah, that makes sense.
So moving from the designs because there's only so much we can talk about. I guess we'll talk about the Alola region and some actual
Yeah.
differences, which isn't a lot to be fair. There's a few differences besides the obvious black hole that's now surrounding the final area of the game.
Yeah, and somebody dropped Kool-Aid all in the water.
Yeah, I don't know if that's because of the because I mean we're gonna talk about the region, but we're also probably it's probably gonna lead right into the plot stuff because I guess the first thing is as of right now I don't think we officially know whether or not this game is just a full-on alternate universe version of the original game or if this is a sequel.
Right.
I'm going to go under the assumption that this is a sequel because it makes no sense not to do that. Also, because alternate universe stuff doesn't really benefit the story at all.
Well, I'm going alternate universe version only because the game, Pokemon games have been talking about alternate universes a lot recently,
Right.
and it wouldn't be too out of there to say that this may be the case. However, I do see some advancements that have been done since the first one, like all those abandoned places, like the one that the Machamp was standing in front of, actually is built now. Like there's more stuff in Holio City. So it wouldn't be too far out of there to say it's it's a sequel, but I like the idea of an alternate reality as well, especially in the conversation that KG and the others and I were talking about, where like, oh, since Mega Evolutions have been slowly deteriorating for Pokemon Sun and Moon, then what if this is a alternate universe that's still the Alola region, just without Mega Evolution completely?
Well, for those, well, I was gonna say because technically it's already been somewhat confirmed that the Pokemon universe has two different timelines. It has the Mega Evolution timeline, and then it has the non-Mega Evolution timeline. Which brings up the question of which timeline the Alola region falls into, which most people would say is the Mega Evolution timeline because you can still technically do Mega Evolutions in Ultra Sun and Moon. In Sun and Moon. The only thing that would put it in an alternate timeline is if it did not have any way of getting Mega Stones and had nothing to do with Mega Evolutions, which we know isn't going to happen because every new Pokemon game has to make everything available from the older games to justify having it in the newer games.
Right. And then one of the other things that made me lean towards the alternate reality version, though, is that in the alternate universe stuff is the Nihilego, Ultra Beast, and the Fallers and all of that. Like, that plot's never really opened up at all. I mean, yeah, Annabelle is a Faller because you get to fight her and you get to do the whole Ultra Beast mission with her. But other than that, we don't get much going on about her being a Faller. And plus, the main character himself is a Faller, and Looker is a Faller.
Well, the other thing is that, and people brought it up in Sun and Moon, that means the Annabelle that's currently in Sun and Moon is the second Annabelle. It's not the original. The original Annabelle still exists in that timeline.
And Pokemon Emerald.
Yeah, so that means the Annabelle we have, technically that means there's no Annabelle in the original timeline. In the, I guess that would be the non-Mega Evolution timeline.
The non-Mega timeline.
Yeah, so now...
Well, they stated that it's implied that she came from that timeline because when you battle her, you're battling her with the exact same music, like Game Boy Advance sound font and all.
No, that's we count that as laziness because they did that for Colress and they did that for Grimsley too. Like the other old school Pokemon trainers you fought all have their original music. Like Colress's music is still his Black and White music. I mean Black and White 2 music. It's not his. Yeah. It's not like a remix, which was just lazy in general. Which is why I believe it's a sequel. I think that I don't know how far into the future. If I had to take a guess, it's probably not that far into the future. Because if we take things that were in the trailer, we've only seen like we've only seen references to characters we've already seen before. Like Ryuki seems to have a bigger role. What's the name of the flying type Elite Four member that?
I know what you're talking about. She plays golf.
Yeah, the golfer. What is her name? Because she only shows up in the Elite Four.
I can't get. I don't remember the name either.
It's fine.
And that's sad because she's barely touched upon.
And I know those two characters specifically were picked out saying they have a bigger role. We haven't seen anything of Team Skull. I'm gonna assume that this is gonna take place probably like a year or 2 years.
Kahili is her name.
Oh, okay. Kahili. I'm gonna assume this game takes place a year or two into the future. I'm gonna.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Pokemon usually never. Pokemon doesn't take it too far into the future. Normally 2 years is their limit.
Well, the other reason why I say that is because all the characters, because Kahili and Ryuki still look the same. So I don't think it's that far into the future anyway. Although I do find it interesting, we haven't seen Kukui at all in the trailers. Like, why did you showed off?
Oh yeah.
You showed off Ryuki and you showed off Kahili. Actually no, I'm lying. We have seen Kukui in the trailer. He just wasn't. He wasn't focused in the trailer. We've seen Kukui and we've seen Hala.
To be honest, the player, the gamer themselves don't even have the option to actually see. Well, they have the option to not even see Ryuki.
Yeah, because you only would see Ryuki unless you cared about doing title matches.
Right.
Which I don't think you got anything out of him. Actually, yeah. Did you get anything out of him?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
You just fight different people in the champion section.
Yeah, it's like a cool concept that has really no value into the game. It just gave you something. And it was cool because I think you also got to fight I want to say Plumeria, but I don't know if that's her Japanese or English name.
You can fight Plumeria, you can fight Hao, you can fight Ryuki. Yeah.
So I mean, it's a cool concept, but it never really added anything to the game. But the only reason why
I think it was just an excuse to bring Ryuki in once.
Yeah, but then the question becomes, well, what is Ryuki's role to begin with? Because from what I remember, his whole thing is that he was like a star, and he's doing this for more attention.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
like I said, I barely saw him in my game.
Well, yeah, because you only could see him one way. Although people have mentioned that the scene you see Ryuki in the Ultra Sun and Moon trailer looks a lot like Lieutenant Surge's gym.
Yeah, they've been drawing comparisons to that.
And the question is, well, how do you relate that to Kanto? But then you think about it, all the Alolan forms are only Kanto Pokemon. So it implies, and then I think at the end of the game we know that Lily went to Johto. I think Lily says she's going to Johto to find a cure for her mom.
No, Lily went to Kanto to find a cure for her mom.
Oh, it was Kanto. Yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're trying to tie Kanto and Alola together. Which then brings up the question, we know we would then now have a connection between Kanto, Alola, and Johto. Because we know Johto and Kanto are connected. That's canon. And that's been consistently canon. Which would imply that maybe Alola is only like a little ways away from Kanto. But that's also like implying that the game's going to go through the effort of making a pseudo Kanto remake, which I don't think they're going to do.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why I find this a little interesting is because my theory is, and this is reckless, but I'm going to take a shot in the dark anyway. Alola was in the process of setting up gyms, pretty much creating a normal, traditional Pokemon experience setup. Where you have your 8 gym badges, you go fight the league, you become champion. At the end of the first game, they pretty much had just set it up. So it had just started. My sneaking suspicion is that you may not go to Kanto proper, but you might be able to visit certain areas in Kanto.
I think that would be a fair assumption. Because...
Go ahead.
And, because the thing about it is, one of my favorite Pokemon games ever is Pokemon Crystal. I love it. And it's the only game, that and Gold and Silver, I guess. They're the only games that let you play 2 regions, but I will tell you right now, doing 2 regions may sound fascinating on paper, but it's wonky as hell. Because the problem then becomes, oh, we've got 2 regions. How are we going to spread them out in the course of this story to where the player still gets a challenge?
And well, I'm about to say, and the way they usually fix that was by making, for example, they made Kanto a fucking breeze in Gold and Silver. It was kind of like you went through it, and all they did was like jack up the levels for the Pokemon. So if you were smart and you maxed out your team, you were just breezing through the league and doing jack shit and all. Because there was nothing plot you did related in Kanto when you were playing Gold and Silver. It was just kind of a fun little extra. And I find it interesting that the first tease of that would be a potential reference to Lieutenant Surge's gym, considering he is the gym by the SS Anne.
Right.
So it could be that you can visit the SS Anne, but you can go to only certain places in Kanto.
That would make sense.
Which then, because I think they're gonna do that for a side story. I don't think Lily stuff will probably get brought up again in the main game. It probably won't get brought up until post game.
Like, if anything, and Pokemon loves doing this, Lily will probably be mentioned word of mouth.
Yeah, but it also brings up the question, if they're going to mention Lily word of mouth, that's implying that's implying she made a name for herself.
Yeah, but it'll be just not even just that. It'll be like passerby stuff. Like, you click on an NPC at an area, and it's like, I saw a blonde-haired girl run through here looking for medicine. I wonder what she was looking for. I hope she finds it. Some stuff like that.
Well, think about it. If we're jumping 2 years into the future, or a year or so into the future, she can't still be looking for medicine, I wouldn't think.
Red's been standing at Mount Silver for 2 years. I don't see why this isn't a thing.
Well, I'm saying what it could easily turn into is that Lily gets into some shit, and that our side quest, or even part of the main quest, is to save her. Because think about it, we also see in the trailer that the Aether Foundation is treating Pokemon.
Yes.
So then the question then becomes, well, the Aether Foundation wasn't really fully fleshed out to begin with. And from what we saw, their outfits still look the same. So my question is then, okay, if this is a sequel game, and obviously that's still conjecture, does that mean the Aether Foundation just went back to their original purpose? Because the biggest problem with the Aether Foundation is literally they were viewed to be bad guys so late into the game, their grunts didn't really get fleshed out. It was more of Lusamine, Faba, and Wiki, if anything.
And it's not even the fact that they're bad guys. I think the Aether Foundation was just sort of following orders at this point.
Yeah.
And Lusamine was the one that was chaotic, and it wasn't even the fact that she was bad. She just had a what was it called? She has a klepto complex where she has to just keep things.
Well, that, and she kind of lost her mind when her husband died.
Well, that too, but you know.
Well, I forget if they said her husband died or her husband just disappeared.
He's just gone.
Well, because we know her husband's a faller.
Yeah, and some imply that he's actually the guy who works at the Pokepalago's bean thing.
Is there any, proof or what?
There's a bunch of theory videos that make a lot of sense, but there's no concrete answer. You know how Pokemon is with stuff like this. They did it with AZ and...
Yeah, but the problem is Pokemon doesn't really... Pokemon's teasing this whole alternate dimension stuff. I feel like that...
And then they never compliment on it.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be one of those situations where it might get explored a little bit more, but it'll probably turn into a situation... Probably like how Oris did, where Oris... Because Oris kicked it off. Well, I guess... I wouldn't say... Well, kind of. They kind of kicked it off with the whole Xena stuff, and it was kind of implied around that whole game, in the background, and then Sun and Moon kind of brought it more into a major plot point. You know they want to do that game. You can tell they're obviously trying to do that game, and they're trying to be like, well, let me warm them up to the idea before we do it.
And I think the reason they do it, they're choosing Kanto. One, it's the first region, obviously, so it brings in old time fans. And two, it literally it's so it could be all like a circle. Like, okay, Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, Kalos. Alola, and then back to Kanto where it all started.
Which could get us into a whole nother conversation about the Switch game, but we're
Yeah,
not going to do that.
yeah,
But
no, we have no information on that.
Yeah. So I guess the better question, and we haven't really brought up yet, is what about Team Skull? Where's that situation?
Ooh, that's a good one because what Team Skull's so ambiguous. We didn't disband them or anything after the first game. It's just Guzma's just not feeling it. Like after we did the plot, what did Guzma go do? Like you can find out a little bit more about him if you go to his house and you can battle him in Melee, but outside of that, there's nothing really much they give us about Guzma. So we don't even know how well the team stands. Plus Pulumera, she quit.
Yeah, she quit.
So we don't know. I don't know.
I'm going to take a sneaking suspicion and say that Guzma's probably an Elite Four member and Plumeria is probably a trial captain.
That would be dope, actually. I would like that idea.
Because I think Plumeria is the one who gave you the poison. Was she?
Yes.
Yeah, she was.
She gives you the Poison Z crystal.
Yeah, so I think she'll be that. Because, I mean, we already know for the trials, they're probably going to change. They got. I already forgot the girl's name again.
Kahili.
Yeah, Kahili. Then we have, I believe, the painter girl, the fairy one is Melina.
Yeah.
Melina. So we got her, Melina. We probably get Plumeria. That's only 3 new trial captains, which is about what they did for Black and White 2, where we got Roxy and what's his name? It's not Roland. I feel like it's Roland, but it's not.
Sharon?
No. Well, Sharon's one of them, but I'm talking about the new water.
Oh,
the black.
I know who you're talking about.
What is his name?
Yeah,
I forget his name. It's fine. You guys know who we're talking about. You're Poke nerds. You know what we're talking about. The point is that they replaced like 3 gym leaders in Black and White 2. And they changed the story a lot. So I can only imagine that I'll use that as a basis for why I believe Ultra Sun and Moon.
Marlin.
There we go, Marlin.
Marlin.
I can only believe that they'll probably use Black and White 2 as a basis for how they'll do Ultra Sun and Moon, which might be part of the reason why we're not seeing anything on Team Skull, which was shown off pretty early in the original Sun and Moon's like announcement stuff. Like we saw Team Skull pretty early. So the fact that we have yet to see, we've seen Aether Foundation before we've seen Team Skull, is a little.
No, we saw Team Skull, then we saw Aether Foundation because Aether Foundation was introduced when the Ultra Beast.
No, I'm saying I'm talking about Ultra Sun and Moon's trailer.
Oh yeah,
we've seen some of the Aether Foundation, but we haven't seen any of the Team Skull members. So it wouldn't surprise me if Plumeria was a trial captain, and Kahili and Melina are our new trial captains, which then brings up the question: which ones get replaced? Which I would believe, I would probably bet Acerola is probably replaced, considering she was a trial captain.
Elite Four.
She was a trial captain and an Elite Four member. I kind of hope they replace Sophocles because I didn't really care for his. Well, actually, they can replace him with his brother.
I don't really care for Sophocles either because like. The only thing, but it's interesting. Sophocles is one of the trainers that challenges you in the title, thing.
So you think
in the title defense?
So you think he might have gotten upgraded?
Like, yeah, they're gonna do something with him. We just don't know yet. I just hope he's not like, oh, the fucking Poke Palazza.
Yeah,
that was dumb. That was dumb.
And my other reason for thinking that this is possibly a time skip is because we haven't seen How either.
Oh yeah, they haven't shown us How. He's supposed to be our rival, or are we the rival? Well, but
they always change rivals, and I mean they changed rivals in Black and White too.
They did, but that rival was good.
So I would argue that I bet you How was probably one of the is either. I'm gonna say he's probably an Elite Four member. He's probably not a champion.
Yeah. Even though he sucks, like, because normally what they do, they'll take the least likely person and make them champion. Like, I'm still to this day, I have no idea why Iris became champion.
I guess because she was the one that was going through character development in Black and White 1. Although depending on the game, she was a gym leader in Black and White too. So
Yeah.
my assumption. This is a whole bunch of wild predictions, but I'm gonna say Hal is probably an Elite Four member. I think Acerola is probably still one. I think Guzma probably replaced Hala. I'm gonna argue Kahili probably isn't one anymore. But
And the tale behind Guzma is basically like, oh, this Guzma used to be a really great Pokemon trainer, and he even aimed to be champion, but he pretty much lost. And then instead of actually taking the loss like a responsible adult, he decided to say F all and become a gang member.
yeah,
And you learn all of that by being at his house and reading like stuff.
but I find it interesting that if you've noticed, a lot of these characters are related to each other.
Yeah.
Like how Sophocles' brother is friends with Kukui, and then you have Acerola, and then her fucking uncle,
Which is Nanu.
Yeah, Nanu, by the way, is the greatest. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. I love Nanu. I love Acerola too, by the way, but that's a different story.
Nanu is pretty cool. Like, he says one of the darkest lines in the entire game.
Well, because think about it. He is the dark holder.
True.
So it makes sense. So I'm thinking the sequel will probably just change the roles around. I don't know who the champion will be because we don't know who our rival is going to be. We don't know if they're, because we still don't know the fate of Gladion, Lily, Hal. There's a bunch of characters we still.
Oh yeah, don't even get me started on Gladion. I feel like they did not use Gladion and Type Null to the advantage that they could have in this game,
Yeah.
and I feel like the next game should do compliments on that.
Yeah, because I feel like Gladion was used okay in comparison to what we had been getting before, but he's still not to the full potential he needed to be at. But he's also a character that people are interested in seeing. See, that's the thing about Ultra Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon was so story focused that like the mechanics don't really mean much. We need to figure out like there's so much that could have changed in the story, and people's positions could have completely flipped on each other.
Yeah.
And then we also have like our various trial captains, which we still have. Is it Hal? Not Hal. The fucking ground type trainer.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Hold on 1 second. Her name is.
I thought it's something really short. It's not like a long. It's a really short.
Hoppo or something.
Yeah, that sounds close to what we're thinking of. Because her thing was weird too.
Yeah, Hoppo.
Yeah, Hapu. Because she's on the island with I feel like her role is gonna be bigger because she was already kind of stepping up higher than like the rest of the trial captains.
Right.
For one, she doesn't have any underlings. Like, Olivia had Mallow and well, not all of them had underlings, but
Pony Island just said screw it and went straight to her being a trial captain, and then they didn't even have a kahuna. They just sort of like fought.
She became the kahuna.
Yeah, well, she became the kahuna. They didn't have when you got to Pony Island, what did you do? You fought like Komodo, and then that was about it. And it was so weird.
I'm about to say, to be fair, so Hala was like that too.
Yeah.
Hala wasn't really that.
Yeah, you did well. You did one trial with what's his name? Lydia.
Yeah. Lydia. The guy.
Yeah, you did one trial with him, and then after that, you just fight the kahuna, and then that was it.
So I guess the overall question is, how much do you think the positions of some of these trial captains and kahunas have changed? Because I'm going to make the argument that Hala stepped down. I think Hala stepped down. So I think the first trial captain will probably be.
I think Hal is going to be the kahuna in Hala's place.
Which would make him the Elite Four member representing Hala.
Well, yeah, because the game even leads to it, where at the end, when you're in melee after you've beaten the league, Hal is where Hala used to be on that like little battle stadium where you and Hal fought.
Yeah.
He's there and he's training Team Skull members.
Which is why.
Implying,
which implies that they've been reformed in some way.
Yes.
Or at least they're maybe they've split off and done their own thing. because
Right.
Plumeria isn't leading them anymore, and
Yeah.
Guzma's just said fuck everybody. So
Right.
it wasn't.
Guzman just said y'all stupid and left.
Yeah, he was like, I'm done with this shit. So there's a lot of things to address here because there's a lot of different avenues they can take with it, I guess. But we know what we really need to address is the Fallers subject, because even though we touched
Yeah.
upon it, but we know that's an integral part of the story, especially with Necrozma. So I guess the question is, like, it's over Pony Island, which is the last island in the game. Do you think they're gonna change the order of the islands you go to?
No, I still believe Pony Island should be last, and I'm glad that that portal, that little black hole or whatever, is there, because Pony Island was definitely like the game's sort of done now. You can do your last bit of things and then beat the rest of the story, because Pony Island didn't have much behind it at all, like other than the battle tree.
Right.
It's like, yeah, it's like the battle tree is post game though. So all you really did on Pony Island was go to Executor Island, get your flute, go back, and you're done. So I'm glad it's over. I'm glad it's over an island that didn't have much going for it now, which gives us something to look forward to later in the future.
But the reason why I bring it up is because now we have Fallers. My question is, who would be the new villain? Because I don't think it's Team Skull. I think Team Skull is going to be around, but I don't think they're the villains anymore.
And I don't think it's going to be the Aether Foundation because they've already been through that. So
yeah, I feel like it'd be too redundant.
And this is also weird because they haven't introduced a villain yet, which is weird because Pokemon always introduces their villains very early.
Well, I have a theory. I think it's going to be from another universe. I think the villain will be a Faller.
That'd be cool.
I think the villain's going to be a Faller, and I think it's also going to be a character we already know of.
Oh.
I'm going to guess that Lucamine's husband isn't dead, and it's Lucamine's husband.
Oh, shit.
Which could also bring in his own team foundation he established in another dimension or another reality.
And that would make a lot of sense considering the fact that when Lucamine had such an obsession with the Ultra Beast, only because when that rift opened, she lost her husband.
Right. I'm actually almost willing to bet that Lucamine's probably already fine.
Some people, and this is dumb, but I don't want to say it's dumb, but I can see where it's coming from. Some people have actually theorized that Lucamine's husband is Cyrus from Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum.
Why?
Because he went through the Giratina's whole little rift, and he's been there for a long time, and it's implied that the Disorcia world's probably like the Ultra world realm. So technically he would be a faller if he came out of it.
Yeah, but the problem is that Cyrus currently exists in the non. Oh, I guess now that would make sense. Except, actually, no, it wouldn't, because how would him and Lucamine have met beforehand? Cyrus originally is a part of the non Mega Evolution timeline. They're from two different timelines, so that would imply he had to be a faller before they even met.
Right. That makes sense. Well, then again, like, you got Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which is literally the exact same story as Ruby and Sapphire, just this one takes place in the Mega timeline.
Yeah, but Cyrus is Diamond and Pearl.
That's true.
So I don't unless the only way that would work is if we did Diamond and Pearl remakes and they made some reference to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say if Diamond and Pearl actually is going to follow up on those remakes, then at that point it all would make sense. And it's just a theory, so I didn't stand behind the theory because there's not enough to hold water. Plus Cyrus's hair and facial features don't match Gladian and Lucamine's at all. Gladian and Lily's at all.
Yeah, but the only thing you could argue is that maybe they just took after their mother and they didn't take after their father.
Yeah, like Lucamine's traits are the dominant traits in the gene pool.
Yeah, but then it brings up the question: well, the kind-hearted nature that Lily has definitely doesn't come from Lucamine. It probably more likely comes from her father. So it's probably her father became a faller and became corrupted and used, and he started releasing Ultra Beasts. Unless this game is going to introduce the possibility of a third timeline.
Yeah, it's like, and that's the thing about it though, is like this game has not given us any villains yet or any evil organizations or teams. Even in Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, we got introduced to Neo Team Plasma, which, yeah, it's Team Plasma, but it's a Team Plasma that was strictly devoted to Ghetsis' plans.
Yeah, I feel like because they haven't fully addressed the alternate timeline theory consistently enough in the games already, that it wouldn't make any sense to automatically bring up a third timeline. So
Right.
I think it's within the two. It's within the two realities. We just don't. I'm still gonna stick with the theory that Lucime's husband is probably the one who will be the villain for this game, and that probably, and we might get a image of him soon, but we probably won't know his relation until later. Um,
Right.
but I guess the only other thing to talk about, because the Necrozma fusing with Solgaleo and Lunala isn't innately interesting to me personally.
It's
There's
not.
nothing really to talk. It's literally just black and white all over again.
If anything, I believe some people have been theorizing that Necrozma is actually going to have a second form, which is like a unleashed light form or something. And the reason for this is because the box art shows an eye on each of the on the sides of the box. So like Ultra Sun has the left eye, I think, and Ultra Moon has the right eye. And when you put the two cases together, you can see like a lit figurine with two eyes, meaning it could be Necrozma, but he's out of that like prism form.
Maybe we still got to deal with Marshadow because I think he's might be relevant in this game too.
You know, it's sad. I think Marshall's probably just gonna be a event
That
Pokemon.
wouldn't surprise me either. And also, we still got to talk about the roles of the Tapu, Coco, Lele's.
Tapu Koko lately. And the thing about Pokemon Sun and Moon I've noticed is that the legendaries play more of a role this time around rather than just being, oh, these are Pokemon you should catch after the game's over. Or, oh, we're gonna have an evil team capture the Pokemon only for you to bust them out.
Yeah, so I'm curious. See this, and that's why I said this game has a lot of shit to speculate on because there were so many different story beats, like that post game thing you could do in the desert, where you met the guy who supposedly was like cool with aliens or something. I don't know how to, I don't know how to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a weird side mission you could do. You had to bring him specifically. What was the Pokemon you had to specifically bring him? It was like a Pokemon
Um,
you couldn't just basic you couldn't normally get in the game. You had to do like trading from like Gen 1, I believe.
hmm.
Actually, let me. Oh, what is that side quest called? I usually wouldn't look it up, but I legitimately want to know.
Right.
Let's see. Because I think that.
Well, while you're looking it up, I just want to say this. Um, with the Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon coming up, I know one of the things that I'm hoping for a lot is for the game to not hold our hand as much because it did a lot of that in Sun and Moon. And hopefully at this point they realize, it's a sequel to a game that already exists. So they don't need to give us holding hand, because that was one of the big turnoffs for me in Sun and Moon, and it's one of the reasons I don't want to play it again now that I've done beating. Like, I want to buy Moon so that I'll have both versions, but the problem is I know if I start playing, I'm going to have to go through this whole let's teach you how to catch Pokemon. Let's talk about how great the Alola region is. Let's catch a Pokemon. Let's get you introduced to your first Pokemon battle. It's like, really? This is getting annoying. Let me just go.
Oh, you had to bring it a Soul Rock, and a Lunatone.
Ah, okay. Hence Sun and Moon.
Yeah. But I wonder, people were wondering if that was relating to something else, like the sequel, because of the weird, because the guy just like disappears. He's like, "Thank you," and now I can, like, he acted like he was talking to somebody, which is where the alien theory came up in the first place.
Okay, yeah, and the only way to get either of those two would be to play Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, or for some, if you're chaotic enough, transfer them all the way from the Game Boy Advance games to the DS games to the 3DS games to here.
Life is hard sometimes, Tyrone.
Some people do it. You get a certificate for doing it. If you transfer your Pokemon from Ruby and Sapphire all the way to Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
Yeah, but you gotta really be dedicated, and you still have to own the original games. Although I forgot we're getting Gold and Silver this year for Virtual Console.
Yeah, that too. You think that has any connections to Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon? Kind of like how Red, Blue, and Yellow came out around the same time as Sun and Moon, and then afterwards we got Alolan forms of Kanto region Pokemon. Do you think that's related?
I don't see why not, because of my theory about Sun and Moon being connected, Alola being really close to Kanto. We already know Kanto's super close to Johto, so you could totally do it, and it would still make sense in the context of the story.
Right. It's like they're, because I was curious as to, it's like, okay, this is the only way in this game right now you can get, like, say, Raichu in both Kanto form and Alolan form, because, if you play Sun and Moon, the only Raichu you're going to get is the Alolan one.
Right.
So the only way you can get a Kanto one is if you either A, transfer it from a previous game, or B, just plain transfer it from Sun and Moon, or from Red, Blue, and Yellow from those games. Well, it's impossible to get a Raichu in Yellow, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So it wouldn't be too far out there to say some Johto Pokemon may end up getting some Alolan forms as well.
Yeah, but think about it. It's August, and you haven't announced shit about... The only form we've been announced is a dust form for Lycanroc.
Lycanroc, which I gotta say is the laziest. The concept and design aren't lazy, but the problem is how you get it.
Yeah, because it's an event Pokemon.
It's they Torchicked it.
Which is fucking stupid.
Yeah, that is dumb. Like, I see no reason why you couldn't, like, catch a Rockruff and show up at this one area around a certain time period, and then it goes, oh, Rockruff is reacting to the sunset. Boom, dust form.
Oh, man.
Like, I see no reason why that couldn't have been the case. Now, for this is a problem, because it's like, oh, now you've made it so basically you just get it because, oh, you added it to your game. And then two, this is a problem because if the event is over, there's no other way to get a Dusk form Lycanroc. Although the event runs till January, so I see no people forgetting to do it.
It's just a fucking shame. But that also just tells me...
It's just lazy, yeah.
It makes me question how many new Pokemon we'll get in general.
Yeah, and then did you want to talk about the Z moves now or later?
About the what?
Z moves.
Not really, because, I mean,
well, there's one.
I'll let you have this one, because I don't have much to say, because I barely use Komodo in the game.
Yeah, and you don't do competition battles a lot, do you?
Nah, I used to, but not so much.
I'm in and out of competition battles, and I gotta say, unless they're planning to add some other Z moves that are on the same level as Clangorous Soul Glaze, this is a problem. Like a legitimate metagame, Komodo is broken problem.
Well, I heard the reason why they did it was partially because from what I've heard, and I can kind of see it, most of the Gen 7 Pokemon weren't really competitively viable in the first place.
They weren't.
So that might be part of the reason why they're doing it, is just to try to give them more relevance.
They weren't, but they went overboard because Komodo is a pseudo-legendary, which means he already has a base stat of 600. Pseudo-legendaries have a base stat of 600. Metagross has it. Dragonite has it. Hydreigon has it. Like, pseudo-legendaries have 600 in base stat. So this thing is already viable in any competition anyway if used correctly. Clangorous Soul Glaze hits 2 Pokemon at once, which in VGCs means that's a problem, because VGCs are all tag team battles. What it also does is, in addition to doing a lot of damage, it also boost every one of Komo'o's stats one stage. That's the equivalent of using Swords Dance, Iron Defense, um,
It
Cosmic,
isn't it just Dragon
was,
Dance pretty much?
yeah, it's Dragon Dance along with like Agility, uh, Cosmic Power, and maybe Calm Mind, all in one.
Well, I'm about to say because
And that,
Komodo's biggest issue is just its speed, right?
yes, that is his biggest issue. But if you play correctly and you use a Trick Room team, then that's not a problem anymore. And in VGCs, it's a tag team battle. So all you would really have to do is just make your partner use Trick Room. Komo'o would go first, use Clangorous Soul Glaze, boost all of its stats, and damage both opponents at once.
Yeah, it's kind of, and because of the Z move, you already know it's pretty powerful in its own right.
Yep, because the Z move that it's basing itself off of, the move that you're using to do a Z move is Clanging Scales. Clanging Scales does 110 damage and has a 100% accuracy. Plus the same type attack bonus because it's a dragon type attack. That's a problem.
Yeah, I could see.
That's a real life problem. What it also means is that if you have a let's say you have a Ninja Gas for some reason, it has speed boost. It gets the speed up every turn. You use Clefable's Follow Me so that they don't attack the Ninja Gas. Ninja Gas gets a speed boost and can up probably some of its other stats using, some stat boosting effect. Next turn, use Baton Pass, switching to Komo'o, Clangorous Scales into Clangorous Soul Glaze. That's it. You have a fast Komo'o with boosted stats all around the board. And damage to both partners. And it has the ability Bulletproof. Have fun.
Yeah, but it also means the sets for it now will become insanely similar. Like, it's literally no one's going to run a Komodo other than that type. And that...
Well, no, there's a bunch of other things you can do with that Z move. No. That's why Shofu on Twitter said it was broken.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, he said, I loved his reaction. He was like, that's busted. Who did this? Who's responsible for this?
Well, because people were still saying it's like, well, it doesn't negate his weakness to fairy. Like, a fairy type still won't get hit with that move. So really...
That's true.
So all he's really getting off is just stat buffs, which won't mean much because... Komodo can't really do anything to like a Sylveon.
Well, that's another thing though. The fact that moves out. If a Komodo's out, people are going to start expecting Clangorous Soul Glaze. So they're going to switch out to a fairy type Pokemon. Okay, that's good. I want my opponent to think that I'm going to use that Z move so that when they bring him out, Clangorous can use a steel type move. Because Clangorous can use steel type moves. Right. Steel type's super effective against fairy type.
It just makes. I'm saying it just makes the metagame more interesting then, because now.
Yeah, that's true.
Because now you're playing the game of, is he gonna use it or is he not gonna use it? Am I gonna risk it or am I not gonna risk it?
Well, that's Pokemon in general, and that's the whole idea when introducing Z moves too, is because Z moves are a one-time deal. It's either you use it or you lose it. So Z moves in general are just like I don't know if I should use the Z move right now or later, because if I got to make this one time I use it count, otherwise the match is pretty much over and I've wasted a Z move. Right.
So it kind of, it just kind of, we know there are going to be other Z moves for other Pokemon. It just depends on how diverse those moves are.
Right. Well, the issue that comes into this though is that there's no Z move quite like Clangorous Soul Glaze that not only does the same effects that a normal Z move would do, it also boosts stats this high. Eevee's Evo boost is the closest thing we've gotten to it, and that doesn't even hit the opponent. That just makes Eevee stronger.
Also, who the fuck uses Eevee in VGC?
Actually, there's quite a couple of trainers who use Eevee in VGCs because it can use Baton Pass. The idea is to use a Clefairy with Eviolite because Clefairy will have higher defenses than Clefable. Have it use Follow Me so people can attack it instead of Eevee. Have Eevee use its Z move, Evo Boost, increase its stats to max, Baton Pass out into a different Pokemon, and then destroy the team.
I always thought you could just use Ambipom for that, though.
Yeah, but the problem with Ambipom is Ambipom doesn't have a move that boosts every one of its stats at once.
Oh, that is true.
Ambipom can use Fake Out to flinch an opponent, then use like Nasty Plot or Agility, Baton Pass out, and then bring in a stronger Pokemon.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, so yeah, that's why people use Eevee now because of Evo Boost.
Right.
But yeah, and that's the thing is like, I hope that there's other Z moves that are on the same level as Klinger's Soul Glaze. Otherwise, this is just a jarring problem.
I think there are more moves like it. There's no reason to have that specific Pokemon be the only one that has gets a really broken or really busted ass.
Yeah, it has to be because like first of all, it's the first Z move to hit 2 Pokemon at once.
Yeah, I think they've literally gone back and said, well, we need to adjust the stats. And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the Gen 7 Pokemon have different stats now. Or at least slightly change stats to make them more competitively viable.
Right.
But I think we've exhausted all the topics. And I don't want to make this video insanely long because I think we're already approaching an hour, so.
Yeah, we are almost at the hour point. And from what we see here, like I said, they haven't really given us much to really talk about. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so essentially we're just doing a whole bunch of speculation. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. This was fun, very informative, and very interesting because there was a lot of theories I was thinking about I can get out. And also, now you guys can start complaining about not having Pokemon videos. So, there you go. Happy birthday. Anyways,
happy birthday to an entire group of people.
Yeah, happy birthday to an entire group of people. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Tyrone, for being a part of this discussion.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
If you want to, and if you should go over to his channel and check out some videos or the website I have because he's on there too, and that might be a little bit more convenient for you. Either way is perfectly fine. So subscribe to him.
And Insane Game Freak does Pokemon related stuff on my channel because he's joined me for the Pokemon Blue commentary. So check those out.
You make it sound like I hoard out my Pokemon talks to your channel only.
No. In fact, we don't talk about a lot of Pokemon stuff while that commentary.
Yeah, we talk about fucking magicians and double Ds for some goddamn reason.
Yep. You know, the fun topics for the kids.
If you don't get the jokes, go watch the videos.
Hey.
But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. This has been the Insane Game Freak. Life's a game. Play to win. And I will catch you guys later. Peace! And we're good.